In today's Keep Your Fire Burning segment, I want to talk to you about attitude. Your attitude has everything to do with your health, wellness, success, and prosperity. And unfortunately, in today's world, attitude is a problem. There's so much negativity out there. All you have to do is turn on the news to know that. And people have a tendency to complain and whine and talk about how bad things are. And all that does is make everybody else upset. Your attitude is so critical. Dr. Daniel Amen has said, and he's a brain specialist, written many, many books, he has said that attitude has everything to do with your healing and your capability of recovering from disease and illness. So let's talk about attitude. The correct attitude is the attitude of optimism. And many people don't realize how significant that is. Doctors who are put into a positive state before they start their day have 3 times more intelligence in their actual day, and they diagnose 19% faster. For me, if I'm going to see a doctor, I want my doctor to be in that positive frame of mind and be able to diagnose more effectively. How about you? Optimism is one of the qualities that people often overlook, and I know I've been a lifelong optimist and have sometimes been accused of being a Pollyanna. But let me tell you, there's great science behind optimism. First of all, Yale University did a study of 600 people, and they found that optimists live 7.5 years longer than pessimists. That's almost a whole decade. So you increase your longevity and you have a longer life if you're an optimist. Harvard University did a study and found that optimists actually have better lung function. Think about that. Optimists literally breathe easier. And optimism is a learned skill set. It's only 25% inherited. So even if you had very negative parents, you can still train yourself to be an optimist. The National Institute of Health found that pessimists have a much greater chance of disease. 23% of the women that they interviewed for this study ended up dying early because they were pessimists. And pessimists have a 25% greater chance of contracting heart disease. So there's a great deal of evidence to support the value of optimism. So how do you overcome the negative self-talk, the negativity of today's world, the things you see on social media, and become more positive and gain a more positive, optimistic outlook? Well, one of the things you want to do is really consider who you surround yourself with. They say that we are the product of the top 5 people that you spend the most time with. So what are those people like? Are they complainers or are they cheerleaders? Are they people who look at the bright side of things, or are they people who are always looking for the bad news, the Eeyores of the world? You want to avoid the Eeyores as much as possible. I call it the Ain't It Awful Club at the cafeteria in the office. Those are the people who, no matter how bad your problem is, they've got it worse, and they're going to tell you that. Stay away from those people. If you're married to somebody like that, try and shift them. And one of the ways you can do that is ask them when they start to go into their litany of problems, say, well, what's the good news? My husband and I have a practice at the end of each day when we come in. If one or the other of us is complaining, we say, well, what good things happened today? And we immediately focus back on the positive. It's an important habit to get into. Other ways that you can focus on more positivity and be more optimistic are to be kind and gentle to yourself. Women in particular are very judgmental, and we're hard on ourselves. We expect ourselves to be perfect, and you know what? There are no perfect people out there. We do the best we can with what we have. So be kind to yourself. Praise yourself and be kind and praise other people. Be a cheerleader and a champion for other people. Other ways that you can use to make yourself more positive are to look for inspiration. Michael J. Fox is somebody that inspires me, and he's done an amazing job dealing with his Parkinson's. And I read an interview where he was talking about his children and how he handles their complaining. He read a story about a woman in Mozambique, and there was a big flood in Mozambique, and the woman had to actually climb a tree, and she was 9 months pregnant, and she gave birth in the tree. So whenever his kids complain, he says, look, a lady had a baby in a tree. How bad can your life be? Look and read inspirational stories, look up and find biographies, watch uplifting movies, spend time around positive people. Make a list of daily successes that you've had, and make a list of the things that you're grateful for. Grateful people are much more optimistic. You manifest what you focus on most. If you're continually focusing on bad news and what you see on social media that brings you down, you're going to create more of that. But if you focus on good news and focus on the good things that are happening and really be impeccable about what you allow into your consciousness from what you watch and what you read and who you connect with, you can have a much more positive outlook, and that's going to keep your fire burning.